Welcome to episode 2 of the POBcast, hosted by Zentor and Racer Dude. Today's episode is sponsored by NSE. NSE Nebula Shipping Express is a high-tech crafting company based in Cambridge. They provide cloaking, jump drive, and hyperspace technologies, among other things. NSE relies on freelancers and traders, corporate any kind to supply the factory. So whether you're a trader looking for a place to earn some credits, if you're somebody looking to procure some high-tech devices, or wanting to expand on your RP, swing by Nebula Technologies in Cambridge, and they'll be able to help you out. I can personally attest to NSE. I constantly run stuff to them. I make a lot of money doing it. Anytime I've ever started factions, whether it's Connex, RS, bunch of other things, I always go to NSE for any sort of RP. They're a good start. Really good launching ground for anything you're looking to get started. Speaking of NSE, we have a special guest host for today. Zentor, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, welcome everybody. So we have the founder and creator of Nebula Shipping Express, Xenon, who's been a long time player on the server. He's an artist on the server. He runs NSE in itself and is very involved in the econ/trade side of the game. So today we're going to introduce you to him, and we're going to have him tell a bit about his backstory, where he came from, what his plans are, etc. So welcome, Xenon.
Hello.
So Xenon, tell us quickly about your history of gaming and what brought you to Freelancer and eventually Discovery.
Well, it's a kind of funny story. The guy who brought me to Freelancer left the next day. A friend of mine.
Really?
In real life, yes. And
I never knew that.
I was visiting him and I saw the game and was like, "Wow, this is amazing! What is this?" And he say, "All right, I'm gonna hook you up in Freelancer." I installed the game, got it, and installed it, and joined multiplayer without doing the campaign. I knew nothing about Freelancer, nothing about the solo campaign. What is the story? Anything. I didn't know anything. I just went directly to the Void server, which was before Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And
when was this?
That was very long time ago. 2005, maybe 2004, 2005, when Freelancer started.
Wow, looks like you kind of got started in the game about the same time as Racer and I.
Yes.
Yeah, that's about, so like I played single player before then, but yeah, multiplayer, that was right around that same time. So yeah, that's interesting. We all kind of started all at the same time.
Mm-hmm. And later I played the solo campaign, which was awesome. And I noticed that I missed a lot of the game. I started in multiplayer, knowing nothing, and going into the Void server. It was my start there. And I always like to make clans. So the first day, I joined my friend clan who brought me to the game. He was making a clan. Its name was Die, DIE, Dangerous Immortals Empire.
Nice.
I can guess what you guys did.
It was fun. It was a lot of PvP. It was a PvP server. The Void server was a hardcore PvP server, where the largest transport you can have is an armored transport, and the largest fighting ship you can have is a VHF.
Gotcha. Did you have other imported ship models from other games, or other universes? Like the server that I started on was, we had Star Wars, Star Trek, and some other ships in there. What was the situation with yours?
Well, there was, but later, and they didn't have capital ships. But also later they tried, but then the server died. That was about 6-7 years after that. The Void became very low population.
I guess you could say it became a void.
It became a void.
Yeah, and that really parodies other communities. So mine and one Zentor was in, because that's when like Eve and I think even World of Warcraft was coming out and becoming popular around that time. So I think that was bringing about a lot of death within communities. But also one thing I forgot is Microsoft pulled the plug on where you can join the where you
global
see
server listings. Yeah.
Yeah. So to fix that, like I know Discovery does it, you have to install a patch and kind of directly link to servers. So yeah, that's kind of everything was dying. I wanted to ask you, Zenon. So in Void, did you guys have the same loadout as Zentor and I? You had to pretty much load out it with Tizona Del Cids and have like a cannonball and maybe a mine or countermeasure.
Yeah, somehow something similar to that. I had my favorite ship was a heavy fighter. Its name was Viper. The Void had its own models, lots of
Oh, okay.
nice, very nice models. The Viper is like the one in a famous uh, um, show. I forgot the
The
name.
Battlestar
Battlestar
Galactica.
Galactica. Yeah.
Yes,
It's Battlestar Galactica.
we
And
had
they
the
had
Viper too as well.
yes, they had the Viper. They had the WA1. My favorite loadout was a sniper. So I was mounting lasers with 1.0 fire rate. Uh, like two full shots would take your entire energy. You have to reload. So it's like a sniper. You have to aim very good. And it was a lot of fun. I on the Void joined and created a lot of clans for about 6 years on that server. I made a nomad clan and named it Dom Kavash Hive. I know in Discovery it has been pronounced Dom Kavosh or Dam Kavosh, but actually in the game lore, in the intro, it is pronounced Dom Kavash.
Yep.
like a use like dumb Kavash.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I thought you were joking at first, like making a mockery clan for, for nomads. Like yeah, they're dumb. But no, I never knew that. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so my server didn't have nomads as playable, but every once in a while, like every year and a half or so, the server admin would choose like a squad of like up to 10 players to be given nomad ships, and they would choose some of the best fighters to take these roles, and then we would all speak in this gibberish that we translated. But what led you, Xenon, to eventually find Discovery, and how did you do that?
Actually, after the Void died, I had a very large group of friends from members of my clans, and I created a website for my last clan. Its name was Elite Serious Fighters, and there was one friend of mine who plays on Discovery, and then we went together and played on another server. Its name was Discovery Free Play, and it
Hmm.
uses the Discovery mod.
Oh, okay.
So it was a completely different thing for me to see the Discovery mods very different from the Void. Now there are other ships, many other ships that you can fly, a lot of systems. Discovery mod is very good compared to the Void mod. So that friend of mine said, "Why are we flying here? Why don't we go fly on the Discovery main server? I have a character there, and I am a member of the Junker Congress."
Junker Congress.
So he told me that anyone who joins the Junker Congress must have a sponsor from inside the Junker Congress. And he said he can be my sponsor. So a couple of days later, I downloaded the mod and started checking it. It was awesome. And there was a lot of players online, more than 100 every day.
Hmm.
And then he made me do my first forum account and my first application to the Junker Congress. And I got accepted. And since that time, my gameplay changed completely, upside down. There is now a massive clan that I'm a part of. The Junker Congress was very big. And every day I join in the EU afternoon time. I find at least 15 online members from Junker Congress in the game.
Wow.
So it was, you join and you just let yourself with the flow, hey guys, what's going on? We're mining, let's go. We go make premium scrap, and then we go sell it to the outcasts, Micron Alpha. And then the outcasts, welcome us, and they love us because we take back Cardamine. And the Cardamine, of course, should go to Planet Manhattan, which is very dangerous, and the police will be looking in roleplay. And it was a lot of fun because the Junker Congress, during a very, very old time, there was an availability to buy a system. And they paid 2 billion credits and bought the Puerto Rico system.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. And later this was disabled, no longer continued. But they owned the system. So we built a core 4 base with 8 defense arrays on each and every exit and entrance to that system.
Holy cow.
Nobody enters and nobody leaves.
So that later caused a huge trouble, because Liberty Navy, for example, jump in from Texas to Puerto Rico and then immediately, instantly, dies by the defense arrays.
I like it.
It caused a lot of trouble, yes. It was a nice role play. We built La Fortaleza and La Mona Castra. Those were very famous bases. And San Juan, some of them got destroyed lately. And unfortunately, Junker Congress became very inactive. But this is how I came to Discovery. And I stayed with the Junker Congress for a very long time. And I managed to lead some departments in there. Then I started building my first base. And I named
What
it
year was that?
I named it Xenon Grunt Shop.
Nice. Where was that at?
Yeah.
It was 200K away from the only jump hole into Kansas.
Holy crap.
It was in Kansas.
So is that base still alive to this day, or are you not allowed to tell?
No, it is gone long time ago. That was my first base. I was learning how to make bases and experiencing that great feeling of having something that you build in-game, and then the next day you come online and find it's still there. So you continue building it, and it grows more and more, and it becomes a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've talked about this feeling before, you and I, Xenon. And I
Yes.
think we touched on it a little bit in our first episode, Racer, about making your imprint on the game world. And yeah, that's why we're POB people.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone wants, just to leave their mark and have, as you said last episode, as a legacy. So yeah, you wanted to leave your legacy. So this obviously was before NSC. So I'm curious, what year was this when you were first dabbling with the POBs?
How you mean, like NSE and what is related to the building POBs?
Yeah, when you built this POB 200K away from the Kansas jump hole, what year was that?
I don't really remember, but it was after 2008.
Okay, so a good while ago.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Okay. Okay.
And I made that base Junker,
Affiliation.
IFF
Yeah.
affiliation, yes. And then there was the feature of changing the affiliation was available, and it was much easier than today, and costs nothing. So later I changed it to Freelancer.
Gotcha. Did you leave Discovery for a while and come back, or what was that timeline?
Several times.
Yeah.
I after that I started building lots of bases. This base got destroyed by a group of players, who found it and sieged it and killed it. I don't even remember the reason or the role play around it. This is a long time ago. But
Gotcha.
then I started building other bases in different areas, uh, and helping others also building bases, and then started the idea of the Nebula base. First Nebula base that I built was in the Crow Nebula of Kyushu
Really? Oh,
system.
that's right. You did mention that to me the other day.
Yes, and inside the Crow Nebula, as you know, there is a low sensitivity for the sensors,
Hmm.
so they cannot see unless they are very close to the object inside. So the base was not showing on scanners unless you are 5K close to it.
That's smart.
Nice.
I picked
That's
the
smart.
location very carefully. Yes.
And it's right there in house space too, so it's near all the not only the basic materials, but back then I guess they were doing crafting or making devices. Was that what you were using that base for?
Yes, it started as a cloaking factory base. It was making cloaks.
Mm,
But I was very new to lots of things, and I didn't make a license for that base. That base was kind of illegal
A rep,
in
bro.
the Kyushu.
so then I'm doing something illegal? What?
Yeah, in role play,
So,
illegally built there. But then it was discovered by someone who posted on the forums how he discovered it. He started flying his ship inside the Crow Nebula, every grid on pulse speed, and
jeez.
and every grid back and forth, back and forth. It took him 4 hours to find the base.
Oh my gosh.
And so he was doing this just to specifically find your base.
Yes,
Wow.
he was a player that plays on the Junker Marauders faction, and
Hmm.
there was great troubles between the Junker Marauders and the Junker Congress leadership. So
That makes sense.
I was not in the leadership, but somehow I was involved in many things in the Junker Congress, and then kinda my bases were targeted by some people. So he didn't only do that; he just made a map of it and draw lines on how he flew on the map and posted it on the forums to say this is what I did to find the base.
I imagine you screenshot the system and then you just open it up in MS Paint and just draw lines across it.
Exactly, that's what he did, and made the image on the forums to say I found the base, and then they brought in. This is a very funny story. What you're gonna hear now, guys, and it was maybe the seed of putting some new rules on the server, added to the rules. They brought in the Kusari naval forces to siege the base, and they started sieging it. So I made a contract. I was very angry little kid playing the game. Uh, I see my base is going to get destroyed. I get so emotional, and I was young, so I called friends from the outcasts groups. There was a large outcast group on the server of independent players, and I called them, paid them 300 million credits, and asked them to defend the base.
Hmm.
They came
Did it
in
work?
and it made a crazy blast, Zentor. They came in with a lot of capital ships, and a great battle happened inside the nebula where everybody can hardly see the opponent. If they go more than 5K away, they disappear. So uh, uh, um, it was crazy, and the big fight happened. And then something that is very unexpected happened. The Kosari Naval Forces group of players, they called in the Gallic Navy to come into Kosari space.
What?
And that was
That would
unbelievable.
never happen.
Never happened.
That's ridiculous.
So in the middle of that happening, and after I made a post about it on the forums, saying that what's going on? This is now going crazy. Why Galax come in? And then just some console messages showed up in game, and the Gallic players went back to Gallia, and they've been given a warning not to come to Kusari space because was done illegally. And then the Kusari naval forces managed to continue sieging the base for a couple of more days until it got destroyed.
Gotcha.
That was the first base that I built for Nebula. After that, I went very angry and left the server for a while. I took a very long break. That very long break was not more than 3 months.
So when you left, because a lot of players, when they get angry, they leave the leaving post, or they'll post or something. Did you do any of that, or did you just leave cold turkey?
I made a big post of farewell, very big drama post. I was very young and emotional about it. So I was like, "You destroyed my fun, guys. I'm leaving. Goodbye." And then I left for like 3-4 months maximum, and then I came back.
Gotcha.
And then did you sneak back in through the door, or did you post like, I'm back?
I did come in sneaking
Yeah.
with a new character, in roleplay named Mark Hamann
Yeah.
in Rhineland.
So I searched your forum account because I wanted to see like your original threads with Junker Congress and stuff. It only goes back to 2022, but I do see the history of changes of your name, and I saw that name, so I'm glad you're bringing that up because I'm kind of curious about that name.
Which name?
The Mark Harmon or Hammond?
Mark Hamann. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came back with Mark Hamann and did what I love on the server. I created a large Core 4 base in Stuttgart. This time with
Nice.
license and legally, and big RP threads about it. And
Gotcha. What was that one called?
Solitaire Metropolis.
Nice.
Do you really want to hear more about this?
What happened to it?
Yeah, whatever you want to talk about, man. This is your story, your time to shine. So, just for the record, and this, because we kind of talked a little bit just about our past and stuff. All this I know very limited information about. So, I know for me personally, I'm definitely interested about hearing, because we've known each other for so long, but we tend to talk about business or talk about current goings on. So this is really interesting, going kind of back into ancient history, if you will. What made Xenon, what your experiences, and put a little bit of light on your philosophy and who you are, and why you are the way you are now. So this is however deep you want to get into this. I'm definitely intrigued and interested.
All right. Well, I made the Mark Hamann character, and it was my first proper RP story from my point of view. I was very new to roleplay. On the Void server, there was no roleplay. You undock, you fight.
Mm-hmm.
You fight, you die, you respawn, you fight again.
That sounds like our experiences, actually.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It's fighting all the time.
Yes, respawning and dying, and in large numbers, and it was crazy. It was a lot of fun. Then back to the story of Mark Hamann. I built Solitaire Metropolis in Stuttgart in a time that the government of Rhineland was very weak. They didn't have enough firepower to defend the assets inside, like this base. So I was engaged and contacted by the Red Hessen army, which was a very large force at that time. An incredible amount of battleships, unbelievable. And they were allied to the Serious Coalition Revolutionary Army, the SCRA. They are also in large numbers. Together, those guys can manage to put 30 battleships in the game at the same time.
Which
So
that's like the server population for today. That's
yes.
amazing to think about that many. Like I'm thinking about that many from the event a couple weekends ago. The one that Lemon put on, with all the nomad spawning in and stuff. But imagining that number on one side.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
that was the events long time ago. Discovery long time ago had the golden times. There was times that you try to join the server and the server says it's full. You have to wait.
Yep,
And
I
then
do vaguely. I had a little stint back in 2013 time. Had a little stint back then, and I do remember having that situation a couple times. You have to keep hitting the refresh button.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you jump on TeamSpeak and start crying. Somebody get out! I want to join.
TeamSpeak, that's one. I haven't used that one in a long time. TeamSpeak. Wow. That's going back.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. There was first Ventrilo, and then
Oh
TeamSpeak,
yes, I use
and
Vent.
then
Yeah.
now we have the Discord.
So remember, when I first started, it was all about TeamSpeak, and then I never quite got into Ventrilo, and then after that is when I left, and that's when it became Skype. I think a lot of people were using Skype, and then Discord came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we use Ventrilo a lot on our freelancer server. I use TeamSpeak a lot on other game servers that I ran, like some Minecraft game servers that I ran before Discord came around.
Yeah, I think TeamSpeak is the most professional, most flexible also. But then Discord becomes something amazing for gamers now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got contacted by the Red Hessen army uh, to pay money monthly, or I get my base destroyed.
Uh-oh.
And it was the beginning of a big clash. I started hiring a lot of mercenaries. There was a lot of mercenaries on the server, a lot of bounty hunters, people with gunboats willing to do anything you want for money.
Nice.
Some of them would stay next to the base, covering the incoming traffic for hours. That's their fun, and there was a lot of people on the server, so that was crazy. And that's communication between me and the Red Hessen kept going for a very long time. I managed to do diplomacy with them, and then started paying them regularly an amount of money per month, so they leave the base alone. But then one day, they started ignoring that I'm paying. I don't know why they did that, but they started ignoring that fact and they made a big siege on the base.
Uh-oh.
I remember I logged into the game with my little heavy tanker, coming from outside the base. And then I found 17 battleships firing in the base.
Oh my gosh.
So was there no siege declarations back in the day, or could you just stop and just start shooting at a station then?
There was declaration, and it was very fast. If I remember, that was like 4 hours or something like that, or maybe I remember wrong. It was very fast happening. They managed to siege the base, and unfortunately use some illegal tricks and exploits.
How did they do that?
Well, it's something that already finished, and the people who did it, most of them got punished severely, very hard, and some of them changed because people change by time.
Mm-hmm.
So I will just say a fast glance about it, so I don't revive that incident, in the memory
Sure.
of people who know it.
Right.
They used some exploits with the defense arrays.
Mm.
There was a problem with the defense arrays. Now the defense arrays of POBs are you cannot kill them; they are invincible. And this is a wrong fix from my point of view, a wrong fix for a wrong problem, for an error. So they fixed the error with a wrong act, I think, by making it invincible. The problem is that before you could shoot the defense arrays and it explodes, and after a few seconds it respawns back in space, and you can shoot it again and it explodes again, and so on. There was an error. There was some kind of a bug that if you shoot them for a certain number of times, they stop firing back at you.
Oh, I've heard of this one. Yeah.
So that
So
that wasn't meant to be on purpose at all. It was a glitch.
Yeah.
well,
Oh,
it,
gotcha.
it is a glitch. It is an error. But
It was an
then,
exploitable one.
yeah. But then the admins caught one of the players, unfortunately from the team, very high rank, and he was saying like, "Okay, stop shooting at that one. It stopped firing." So they were using the exploit. After that, about 18 days of the admins looking into the situation, they banned the Red Hasan army, and they lost officialdom, and two of them got permanently banned,
Oh
Wow.
wow.
and they restored back the base.
That's pretty
Huh.
cool that they did that.
Yes,
It's hard to imagine an entire faction just gets banned.
yes.
That's because I knew about the story of the Red Haitians kind of because wasn't it I don't know if it was at this point, but wasn't it not only your base but other bases they were basically just wiping everything out?
They were going after all the POVs on the server, almost all the POVs,
Yeah.
I had
and
heard this
it
trope
was
as
in a
well.
very bad way.
Yeah.
Very, very low amount of RP and a great amount of sieging. So it was for the sole purpose of griefing the players who use the POBs or build the POBs. It was getting out of hand, out of roleplay.
Mhm.
And
So
the one who fixed all that, by the way, was San Dennis. Great admin.
St. Dennis coming to
San Dennis who
shine.
figured it all. And I was little young and angry, and I was fighting and shouting with him, and he was very patient and calm. And actually, later I felt embarrassed and apologized to him. But I was still very angry even after they restored the base,
Hmm.
and I sold it. And
Gotcha.
there was a small attempt to prevent me from selling it, but then they let go. They said, "Okay, it's your base. Do whatever you want. Sell it." So I sold it to a player and left the server.
Uh-oh.
I'm catching a theme here.
And that was my second time leaving the server. And then I left the server this time for a longer time, for 2 years. And I went to buy another game which I liked a lot, World of Warships.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
okay.
play that. You still play that one quite a bit, don't you?
Yeah, as I told you, I love to make clans, my friend. So first day I came to that game online, I found 50,000 players online. I was like, what the hell is this?
So many opportunities.
It was a lot of players. I found out that they have 5 servers, and the highest populated server is the closest one to me, which is the EU server. So I joined there. After I joined, I made the Elite Naval Forces, a clan which still stands till today, and I still play with it. It's more than 5 years old now.
Elite Naval Forces.
Yes.
See, now that would be an interesting idea. Have NSC's like private military firm be the Elite Naval Forces. That'd be pretty cool. Bring it
Right.
over from World of Warships. Well, like that's what kind of like what I did with ConX. Like it still exists, but in other games. I just took it away from Freelancer. But yeah, that'd be I'd join that. Elite Naval Forces. That's pretty badass.
It's a relaxed clan. On that game, people are very competitive, hysterically competitive.
Yeah.
So some people get tired of this. So they try to find a relaxed clan where they can do the activities of clans, like clan wars and big tournaments, but at the same time be relaxed about it. They can lose a battle and not get shouted by the leaders or the captains of the fleet all the time on the voice chat. Some people go crazy.
Yeah, some people I don't get it. Yeah, they really lose track the fact that it's a game and they have to win at all costs. And I mean we see that all the time in Discovery, but it's really everywhere. And it's yeah, it's kind of a big problem with gaming, big turnoff for people like us that want to just have fun. Um so I'm going back to when you left. Same question as before. When you left, did you make a big production out of it, or did you just sneak out the door this time?
This time I left very quietly and without the intention to leave. I left like I my passion towards the game become very low,
Mhm.
and from the other side, the clan on the World of Warships becomes bigger. So I started going to the World of Warships more. I'm from Egypt, so what you hear now is the prayers calls.
I was about to ask. I thought it was like an air raid alarm. I'm thinking, Xenon, you doing okay over there?
Yes, it's an alarm.
Okay, good. Yes, I was a little nervous there at first. I'm glad you said something.
I actually guessed that correctly. I thought that that's what that was.
Yes, I live in Egypt, in Cairo, and close to my house there is a very big mosque and there is a very big church. So I hear the bells and I hear the calls of the prayers as if they are inside my home.
Yeah. So is that what they do then? They put it on like a loudspeaker, or is that somebody's natural voice?
Yeah, that's someone inside the mosque, and he's doing the calls for the prayers by saying some words into a big speaker, and
Oh,
it's
okay.
like one mosque in every maybe 1 kilometer, 1 kilometer square.
I was about to
Wow.
say,
So,
dang the lungs on that guy, but yeah, I'm glad to hear it's a loudspeaker. But yeah, that's interesting. No. Um, okay, so
So what?
go ahead.
I was gonna say. So was the next base that you built the one that's in Cambridge now?
well, after 2 years leaving Discovery, I came back again, and I cannot stop loving that game. That's a big problem. I keep coming back.
The big problem
Yep.
for everybody, my friend.
Freelancer does it to us.
It's starting to become a problem.
Well, uh, um, after that, I came back and built a base in Manchester, Nebula Complex.
Gotcha.
But,
Okay.
but before I built that, I was not very, confident that if I built a base, it probably going to get destroyed again. So I was approaching back, building a base very carefully and secret. So I went to Omega 3. I always loved the location of the anomaly there. Remember the anomaly from the single campaign?
Trying to remember. Oh, you said Omega 3?
Yes,
Yeah,
there is an anomaly there.
I don't remember that one.
I know there's an anomaly in New York.
Yes, it's similar to the one in New York.
Yeah, I don't remember that one. I have to go back and look.
Yeah, it's
Was
very interesting.
did
It's
you have to fly through it for to get to the next part, or was it just there?
No, it is there from the vanilla.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember that one at all. So that's interesting. Okay, so you built it in Manchester.
Well, before Manchester, I went to that anomaly area. It's inside an asteroid field, large asteroid field, and also there is a nebula in that asteroid field. And then after you're flying inside, close to the very middle of it, there is a gap. There is no nebula. There is no asteroids. It's a gap area, and there is an anomaly in the middle of it. So I built two bases above each other's, core twos, Nebula Complex and Nebula Overwatch in that area. For a very long time, very secretly, that base was supplied, and I was building things in it, and nobody knew about it. The only one that were supplying it was me and my friend who brought me to Discovery. His nickname is Hoaxmore, the one I told you about from the Junker Congress.
Right.
Hmm.
And after a while, I noticed that the presence of the Red Hessian army decreased, and the players that were banned permanently, some of them came back, completely changed, actually started contributing to the server some good development.
So why do you think that was? Do you think it's just a matter of age, or do you think it's because they um, kind of got away from some of the other players that were going around and doing the griefing?
I think people grow up, my friend, by time. The guy who did all the problem with Solitaire Metropolis, he sent me a message and approached me and apologized for his actions,
That's awesome.
which I respected a lot. And
Nice. That is awesome.
we didn't talk much after that, but I have a good respect to him for doing that. The other one is still permanently banned, I think. It never came back.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah, I can kind of personally attest to that because when I was younger, I mean, I even talked about it during my intro back in 2013. The reason why I quit playing back then was because I did something stupid and I just got sanctioned, but I just left. I didn't respond to it or anything. But even before then, vanilla servers and when I first started playing freelancer and even in other online games too, I did some pretty stupid, or you can call it now, toxic uh, things and just messing people's games up and messing up what they're trying to do. So like players that today I have a hard time just cutting bridges of those players, just because you know later on they may obtain a new perspective, or in your case they grow up. um, so yeah, that's always awesome when someone does that and then they come back and say, hey, I apologize, or talk to you about it. So that's pretty awesome that happened with you.
Yes, yes, I respected that a lot. Although, Bracer Dude, this group of players escalated things to another level of being rude, and I'm sorry to say, some of them started becoming racist.
Mm.
Heard stories, yeah.
There was times that I joined the TeamSpeak main lobby channel, and once I join, there are like 10 players in there. They start um, making very very wrong acts, like broadcasting the songs of terrorists organizations.
Oh boy.
And at a certain time, that was very very annoying to me. But I started learning by time that the world is not one type of people. There is some people that will act like this, and there are others that will not accept this and will be more civilized.
Certainly.
Yeah. Now, did they start playing that because you entered the voice channel, or was it already going on when you got there?
No, because I entered, they know that I am from Egypt. I am an Arab Muslim person.
Yeah.
So, because of some wrong concepts, they believe that since I believe in what I believe, then I'm a terrorist,
Oh,
or I
gosh.
support what terrorists do. They have
How
no
immature.
idea. Well, it's actions of some young people, and it happens.
Yeah, it's
Gotcha.
a shame that happened to you.
That's unfortunate you experienced that here on the server too. But so you're back. You had the base in Omega 3 at this point.
Sorry, what's that?
I said, see, you were back and you had the base in Omega 3, was it?
Yes, 2 bases.
Gotcha. And
And
what was the story there?
I built those 2 bases and started supplying them, as I told you, and built cloaks on them and started selling cloaks. Is my passion in the game to make that industrial POB that can produce things and sell it to the players.
Right.
And after that, I built. I had a friend who got his base destroyed in the storm of the Red Hessian army. They killed so many bases. His was one of them. By the way, they killed a core 5 base.
Whoa.
Jeez.
A
Was it
crew.
just as difficult to do back then as it is now?
It was killed in a very strange way, guys. It was killed in 15 minutes.
What?
Huh.
How's that
Yes,
possible?
it was unbelievable, and it grew a lot of question marks around it. But then the issue was investigated by the admins, and they found out that someone sabotaged the base. They
Oh.
took all the materials and leave it until it becomes very low health. And back in time, the POBs were not very high health points like now.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
that's right.
Core 1 was 20,000, not 200,000. Or now 200 million, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's 200 million now. So was it 20 million at that time?
No, it was much smaller, like 200,000, something like that.
Gotcha.
The Core 4 was 800,000. And they managed to kill it so fast also. And anyway, that guy was suffering to build a base. He couldn't build a base, and his passion is bases. So he said he wanted to buy the 2 bases. He knew about them and wanted to buy them, and he didn't have money for that. So I told him I need 4 billion credits for those 2 bases.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day, I was approached by Hopewell. You know him, a player on the
Yes.
server. Very nice guy. And he said, I pay you the 4 billion credits for the friend. He's a friend of mine too.
Oh wow, that's cool.
And he will work the base, then later pay for me. So he bought the base and took it, and now I have no base on the server. So this is cannot go well for me. I'm kind of addictive to have a base.
I was about to say the good news is they weren't destroyed this time.
No, they were not destroyed till this moment. They are still there. If you go to that area, it's a very tricky area. It's 10.1k away from the jump gate and 10.1k away from the jump hole. People usually jump from the jump gate and jump hole and go forward. They never go left and right in that area.
Right.
So the base stays secret till maybe now. Very few knows about it. I know now a lot of people will know about it in from this podcast.
I actually ran across that base before. Now that I think about it, I know I know one of them at least. I ran across it one time and thought that was really interesting to see.
They are there now. They are 2 core 2 bases surrounded by 8 defense arrays.
Yeah. So current active player base probably won't be able to siege it.
It's a fortress.
No.
Yeah. Plus, with whatever at this point, with people that are really against the POB griefers, I'm pretty sure we can assemble a fighting force to go out and defend it too.
Well, of course. But if you put in consideration the amount of time I put in building bases and then lose them several times for almost the same group of people, that made me, when I came back, approach building bases very secretively like this. And I didn't just build a base, I built 2 of them above each other's so I can have more defense arrays.
Mm-hmm.
And I give them the same information. So if there is a character added as enemy on one, it's added as enemy on the second one also. So they act as one. And when I started feeling more safe on the server and the siege storm of bases becoming disappearing and going low, and there was also a lot of changes to the POPs. They increased their health points after that. Big storm of sieging bases and destroying them caused a lot of damage. After that, there was another wave that was led by another player from Gallia.
Mm.
And they
I like
started
how you called it the siege storm. It's like an era of history here that's going on, like back during the time of the siege storms.
Reminds me of the song "Riders of the Storm."
It was a time that for you come to the game every day and you found out that there's a new base being sieged.
Gotcha.
And people, when they see siege happening on the system, the next system, the base owners are talking to each other like they are coming to us. So it was like that. I remember one day the Red Hasten army sieged the base 7k away from the free port in Omega 3.
Wow.
Inside the no fight zone, and it caused a lot of drama, a big mess. But anyway, that time has passed. So it took me like few months to prepare and study how I'm going to build my next base. And that was Nebula Shipping Express.
Oh,
And
okay,
that's
the current one.
Yeah.
There was a base under the BMF command. It was called Lord Macrae's shipyard. Who's Lord Macrae? Lord Macrae is the founder of Britonia Mining and Fabrication. I'm currently the second in command in that faction, and I played with these guys for a long time.
That's cool.
They were building a shipyard there. It was a very large project. But then, after a lot of approaches and applications to the admins for some perks and building that base, I think the leader, in an angry moment, decided to cancel it. And then I logged into the game one day and found him bringing in a big battleship and destroying the base himself.
Oh my gosh.
And it was crazy. And then he kind of left the server for a while after that. So that area of Lord Macrae was empty. There was no base there. And it was a great location from my point of view, a second largest system in Britannia, next to the capital and next to a lot of good sources of materials. And in the middle between two trade lanes, very close to a major planet. It was a great location.
Mhm.
So I decided to build the base there. And I started sending, and I was very, very, very worried about it being sieged. Because 2 weeks before I built the base, there was an SIS base, small one, Core 2 in Cambridge. It got sieged and it got destroyed.
Mm.
And after 2 weeks, I started building the Nebula Shipping Express. After making applications on the forums for Liberty to build in Colorado and for Rhineland to build in Frankfurt and for Britannia to build in Cambridge. All
So
of
you
them
submitted all of those applications.
yes, at the same time. I intended to do that. I was very worried that those bases, my base, will get sieged. So I started to maybe spread the efforts if they're gonna try to find where is my base and
Provide
gain some time,
distractions.
make distraction maybe, and gain some time to make the base core 2 as fast as possible and put a shield on it.
Gotcha.
So the 3 applications got accepted. And I decided to build one to make distraction. So I went to Frankfurt and built one. After a couple of days, it got sieged by 3 players from the Red Haitian army. And I was getting all the materials and being ready with a fleet of 20 cargo ships in Cambridge for building the base.
20 different players was helping you out?
Some players helped, but the
No,
20
I
cargoes
think
were
he
mine.
means, yeah, he had 20 ships loaded up with supplies across his
Oh,
accounts.
I see. Yeah. That's I love that tactic.
Yeah, me too.
And then I got the approval. There was a little negotiation with the government of Britannia because they didn't want a freelancer base, not a corporate base that belongs to Britannia, very close to the planet Cambridge like this. But through some good diplomacy, they got convinced and they gave me the permission to build the base and do not have defense arrays.
Wow. Very good. Good job
I
with your
ex-
diplomacy.
yeah, it's a good step. By the way, Nebula Technologies now have license to build defense arrays. It was a good step at that time, and I should have I should accept that, and I accepted it. Started building the base. By the way, the one who killed the base in Frankfurt, the one that I built for distraction,
Hmm.
he started putting his battleship behind a nearby solid base from the game.
Oh man.
So he evade the fire coming from the base. And I made that. I went there with a camera ship, and I made a video out of that while he's doing it. And I sent it to the admins, and nothing happened. I think they said that he didn't do anything wrong. He could hide his ship behind the base. It's not
Right.
firing at him.
So
But
I'm kind of with the admins on that point. I know it's really cruddy for someone to do that because you're defeating the purpose of why the defense arrays are there and defending the base. But it's not really an exploit, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just
yeah,
using
yeah.
his surroundings. But yeah, that's
He's clever. He's clever.
yeah, clever, but yeah.
But then it was a distraction base. It was meant to be destroyed.
Right.
Mhm.
I started building NSE, and it was amazing at the very beginning. I didn't expect that. A lot of people came in and wanted to help, and they started helping by bringing materials.
So what
We
year
made
was this when you first started building NSE?
what's that? Sorry.
What year was this when you first started building NSE while this other fake base was getting destroyed?
I think about 3 years ago. My
Yeah, I
memory is
think
right.
I was right after I started around 2020.
Yeah, I think that, yeah.
Okay.
And then I started building a page for it and contacting almost all the factions that do logistics in the game,
Mm-hmm.
and they come. So I dedicated 1 billion credits for each core. So the base went up in cores. In about 6 months, it became core 4, and it was built totally by the contracts. It costed
Awesome.
about 4 billion credits. And after that, uh, there was a great player still playing on the server. His nickname was Korak. I think you guys know him.
Mm-hmm.
I said Skorak.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and uh, um, he was building designs for bases. He was a very good developing guy. So I asked him if he could build me a design for Nebula Shipping Express, and he said, yeah, he could do it. I tried to pay him back in every way, and he refused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was on the team when he was developing that for NSE.
Okay, and he built that, and I paid for it 2,500 scientific data. So 7.5 billion credits to the admins
To get the custom model. Yeah.
to get the custom model, and they put it. And here it is, NSE is a place where people can bring materials to get paid by the base a good amount of money. At the same time, those materials goes to the crafting factories and start
Mm-hmm.
building cloaks and hyperspace matrices and surveyors, jump drives, docking modules.
So I
And
think that your base is famously unique in that perspective that you have as much contract work as you do, and that people actually literally bring you materials for their own income in order for you to turn it around and make special equipment for it.
well, yeah, that was the aim of making it. I couldn't reach that aim at the beginning because I didn't have the enough money to afford that.
Hmm.
In order to have a base continuously accepting materials and paying, you need to have a lot of money in the market.
Right.
So NSE should have at least 10 billion credits on board because it keep paying all the time to suppliers. Also, if you keep buying ores, suppliers will not just come for the materials. Suppliers will come and they will not want to fly back empty. Why would they come back to that place? Unless if they find inside some gold ore, maybe,
Right.
or some pristine ice. So I pick the ores that send the players close to the locations where the materials needed by the crafting factories in Nebula is needed.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
and to your point, Zentor, like that, I feel like that is why NSE is such a major trading hub. You know, with it being a POB, I can't think of any other POB that's set up like that. So it's the most NPC like POB in the game because there's quite literally routes that you can do out and back.
Yeah,
So you're
there's
never,
actually gameplay there, which is
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That's actually, um, what I've tried to push for player bases because I think that's really cool that people can build a business like that around their game activities, and NSC has really done it even in the limited environment that they have. My
Mhm.
base that I had in Tau 23 was designed to be something similar. We weren't really producing equipment, but I was trying to make it so that it was an ore exchange hub because it was right there in Tau 23 and there was like 7 jump holes in that system and it was in the middle of several ore runs. So I was buying like platinum, for instance, which was like the halfway point to where you sell it in Zurich, and then you could purchase other ores like niobium was mined right there. So niobium was sold for cheap. I bought pristine ice, bought and sold pristine ice, molybdenum as well, which came from Zurich. So yeah, that's what I was gearing towards as well with Makassar, and that's really cool that you've achieved that with NSE.
Yeah. And then with that too, Zentor, you also made, and I don't know if it's still up because I left it, but it was like the trading hub or something like that where people go in and like if POBs are buying or selling, or if people want to form convoys or do whatever, if people need mining or miners or
Oh yeah, the
transport.
Discord server. Yeah.
Yeah, but then uh, the pirates showed up and they started spying and finding out where people are at, and then started shadow logging and stuff. But um, I feel like that's almost what NSE Discord has become. And Xenon has done a really good job of kind of weeding out the bad actors. Um, but yeah, like NSE is like if you need to know, who's buying or who's selling, or even if you need miners or if NSE needs anything, it's such a centralized hub for anyone that's wanting to do any economy in the game.
Yeah, it's the Discord server has grown to be very resource rich and it's quite informative on a lot of different levels for the Disco server in general.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
well, I tried to since you mentioned the Discord server, I tried to make the Nebula bot, and
Hmm.
it is a bot that gets triggered by typing a word, and it gives information. So I started adding the ores and the high selling points and the information that people, go to search for in several pages. I gathered them in one location. So when someone types like gold ore, it tells all the information needed to be known to mine gold ore, the location of the minefield, the which factions that their IDs got how much bonus, drop rate if you are mining that, and where is the selling points for it, and what are the most commonly used ships to mine it. And I found out that there are many people who like the idea and they started using it. So I started adding more into that, like the POB's names, each POB and what it does and what it sells, where its location, who runs it in roleplay, and who it belongs to, if it belongs to a faction.
Mm-hmm.
And found people also started using that. It was making me very happy that to see that people are finding that useful. So I added the guns. If you type the name of the gun, of a codename gun, it gives you the information of the gun, the range, the fire rates, everything, damage of the shield and the hull.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never really tinker with that. Like like NSE has like so many like little tools like that, and it's like I always remember if I ever ask, hey, Xenon, what does NSE need? You always just type in some code and it's like shoot something out. It's like, okay, that's great. It's like so many little tools and gadgets. It's just amazing. I don't even know all of them, but yeah, it's amazing how you have the Discord set up where you just punch in codes and get so much information.
Did you develop the NSC bot yourself, Xenon?
Actually, it is a bot that I bought 1 year of a premium for it, and it have a great feature, which is that triggering words. You type a word. It was meant to be used for other things, I think, but I twisted it to be used for discovery, and it works. You type the name, it gives you the information.
Gotcha.
It's helping a lot of people, and some people are. I catch them in game because that's most of the time what I do. I see people joining, and I find someone like um, carrying trading in a VHF, for example.
What?
Yeah, there are some people are very new. They know nothing about the game, and they just want to. They found that this makes money, so they bought something on their small little cargo hold of a VHF and fly to another place to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that makes sense, yeah, because if you're getting in, you don't have a lot of money and you don't know what's going on, then the first ship you start out with is a light fighter. So to them, they've probably upgraded to a heavy fighter, and
Well, I mean, it
yeah,
depends on which restart you do. If you do a restart, a lot of them will start you in a Kestrel, the freighter.
Yeah, so some people
that's
don't pay
true.
attention for the information from the console. They don't know about the restarts until someone tells them about it. So sometimes I find these kind of players, and then I catch them and offer them an opportunity to work for NSE as suppliers. And
Nice.
after a few days, I find them coming back with a 5K.
That's awesome. And and quite frankly, Zenon, you encompass what a veteran player on Disco should be like. Helpful. You see something going on, you don't report them right away. You talk to them and help them out, and then they become better and they become players of the community. And whether they stay or go, if they like it, they stay. If they don't, they're not catching a drift or for whatever reason, they can go. But for the most part, if you help players out like that, they tend to stay and become better players. So that's awesome and how it should be.
Trust me, I did my share of being an angry little kid
Yeah.
and not looking for a reason. But time passed. I'm 41 years old now, and I played this game for a very long time. And I think that I've seen so many people leaving and so many people joining, and so many people joining and leaving after 1 or 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured out somehow how to catch those players and give them what does not spoil this game for them, but
Right.
makes them stay.
Hmm.
A chance to have fun and be with players. I invite them to the Discord server and they jump in, and they once they find that they can have access to all this information from the Nebula bot, they go crazy.
Yep.
It's
That's
like,
great.
what? We can go do this? Let's do that now. Let's go buy this and buy that, and here you go. You got a player added to the server,
Yeah.
uh, and staying.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, NSC at this point is quite well established and quite well known, both through the Discord server that it has and its actual in-game presence and its connections. And I know that you're really involved with mining, and I'd like to at this point transition to a topic that I think you'll find very exciting. uh,
All right.
So I've recently been in communication with Eingar, who is now like the head wizard of coding on the server. He's picked up a
All
lot
right.
of the stuff from what I was working on before and made a lot of really cool features that are expected to come out in the next patch. And one of them is just fantastic, and I am very excited about it. And what it is, and I've talked to our head devs, and they said it's okay to talk about this publicly, is improving the mining situation. So right now, as you know, if you want to mine out a whole bunch of ore in preparation for a transport to come over and scoop it up, you like constantly are jettisoning entities, entities of like 500, 600, whatever your cargo hold is, of your little mining ship. And so it creates a whole bunch of copies of these entities in space. And a bunch of these can get really, really laggy for the server. And some people go a little nuts with it and they put, 1,000 of these things out. So what Eingar has come up with is a really simple and kind of cool solution called, I think it's, I know I'm gonna mess this up. It's like portable mining containers or something like that, or droppable
Okay.
mining containers. And what it is going to be a fairly cheap item, commodity that you can buy. And when you go to mine, you can jettison this thing. And when you mine, if you've not targeted a player, it will just automatically start filling up your mining container that's close by, which has a limit of 5,000 units. And when you get to 5,000 units in your container, it'll spit out, it'll just jettison that entity of 5,000 into space right next to it and start filling up again, so that you only have a very limited amount of entities that generate, and they're all condensed because of this really neat little setup he's got. And if you just shoot your mining container, it'll drop it and you can pick it back up and reuse it again later on. Which to me is like fantastic, both from an efficiency side of fixing the problem that's our lag, but also because it's going to make it a lot simpler when you're trying to get a whole bunch of ore ready for transports coming in.
I think this is brilliant.
Yeah, I'm super stoked that Eingar has done this as a really cool solution to a problem and kind of an upgrade as well, I think, at the same time. So
Yeah,
I'm excited to see that roll out.
that's clever. That's very clever. Fixing the problem in a very clever way.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know some of those people that make big clouds of mining ores around them,
Mhm.
and
So
it's a problem. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. So this is a cool little solution for that. Another thing I want to touch on is a couple of the events. Just a reminder of the story event that I've got going with Racer and Aramnart, and that is has its deadline next Friday, the 23rd. So make sure you get your story submissions in. Also tomorrow there's a server event, official event. Let's see, what is it called? They came from the clouds, happening in Liberty in Colorado, which is I think part of a larger story arc, and that should be interesting at Pueblo Station. It's going to have some unlawfuls, lawfuls going
It
at it. Looks like a
sounds like
respawn event.
everyone either loves it or hates it.
Oh yeah, I don't
I'm,
even
I'm
bother
reading,
reading comments about new events. I just,
reading feedback. Yeah, it's just it seems like a bit of a mixed bag. There's some PvPers that love it and some PvPers that hate it. Um, I'm always for a little bit more of like the PvE, like the community versus a bad guy kind of event. I
Mhm.
think like with that last one, there are some like Kahara that are welcome to it. So it would be cool to have kind of like a slugfest at first, and then do like a PVE based event. But yeah, I may or may not be there. in a
Yeah, I
in
might log something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think this time, because last time we did camera ships, so I think this one I definitely want to be a part of it. So it
Mhm.
sounds like something's happening in the Kepler, Colorado area, and it's gonna kind of come to a head tomorrow. So I got a feeling it's gonna be like a little nomad invasion. Um, Now this is an official event. Is it linked to the event that happened in New? Does anyone know that?
I don't think it is. I think that this is completely separate. I think this is more linked to the stuff going on in Erie and the insurgency stuff. Liberty cleaning house, something like that. I don't really know the full details though beyond that.
Okay, so I think because with the order being involved, it's interesting seeing that relationship kind of warming up. It seems like the Navy and the Order are starting to become more neutralized now instead of hostiles.
Yeah, that's a good thing, I think. I always thought it was weird, actually, post vanilla, that the Order was seen as still hostile. I mean, I know they stole tech from Liberty, but they also kind of saved humanity. So,
Yeah, I feel like that was maybe at the beginning there. Maybe Liberty seemed too powerful because you had not only the Order but then Liberty kind of buddies. So maybe that's kind of the motivation behind it, and then creation of the core. I don't know. I wasn't there back then, but that's kind of
right.
my speculation. But yeah, should be an interesting event, especially after the one in New. Whether you love it or hate it, still kind of interesting to see what's going to happen from it. Always kind of a proponent for trying new things, and
And
you
they
know,
always drag in a lot of faces, which is good. I mean, all the events, the community and the
yes,
official ones usually bring in extra hands, so that's cool.
yeah.
Um,
So, and I got some stuff going on tomorrow, but yeah, if I'm around, I'll definitely try to pop in and see what's going on. Maybe take some video or footage or something.
Yeah. So this episode was all about Xenon, introducing him. He's probably going to be a semi-permanent rotational host, and I say semi-permanent just because of our conflicting time zone schedules. But we'll definitely be seeing a lot more of Xenon here on the podcast, and we were really eager to get him on today and learn lot of his back history. And it's really cool to see that a lot of it was paralleled with Racers in mind. The time frames and the former server that he was on was very similar to the ones that I was on as well. So thank you, Xenon, for coming on. And
Thank
of
you very
course, we'll be
much.
seeing a lot more. Yeah.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, definitely, man. Glad to have you.
With that, unless there's anything else that you wanted to add, Racer, I think that we're going to wrap up our second episode.
Nope, I think that's it. Xenon, you got anything last minute comments?
I just want to say one last thing. Discovery is a very, very old community, and I think it is the only remaining active community now for Freelancer. I hope that everybody take the positive side and help it grow more. There are still a lot of people have low-end computers, and they cannot play so of the many new games, big games. They still want to play Freelancer and have fun in it. Let's help as much as we can. That's my last word here.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely parallel that sentiment, and that's what
That's
we're here
good.
for here at the podcast, is to present Discovery in a truthful light, but to show the fun times, the charms here that really keeps people and brings people back, and it is a fun place to be. And Freelancer, of course, is extremely nostalgic for all of us, and I love the game to death. So absolutely. So with that, you guys have a great day, and we'll be seeing you in the next episode.
We'll be
Yeah,
seeing you.
take care of other people and take care of yourself.
Take care.